everybody, to another episode of the Crickellectuals podcast, where we talk about everything related to Pakistan cricket. This is your host, Jay, and I'm joined by Rafan. What's up, Rafan? How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
I'm doing okay, too. How's your cricket life, man? What you been up to? Making
Uh,
centuries?
Making centuries. Yes. Just watching IPL and watching players make century outside Pakistan cricket, pretty much. Even though Babar Azam did have one century, so that's good news.
That's right, man. He's like the new highest run getter right now, right? In T20?
Oh yeah. He's surpassed Virat Kohli a long time ago. I don't think he can catch up anytime soon. And Rizwan is right after him. So couple
Yeah,
of good players coming out of Pakistan cricket,
good for
and
them.
we've
Good for
we've
them.
always been kings of T20, right? Despite what turmoil we've
That's
been in
right.
lately. Yeah. So talking about cricket, T20 World Cup's coming up, man. What are your thoughts about that? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I want to just see Pakistan play a bunch of different teams, especially teams like India, Australia, England, and New Zealand, and all of the teams that they haven't really played, to be honest. I know Pakistan puts on a great show with most teams, like Pakistan West Indies games are always fun too. It's been a long time since we've seen Pakistan with some of these other teams. So I'm just really, really excited to see that environment, that atmosphere, and see what happens.
Yeah, me too. And Pakistan is currently playing the National Cup since all the other teams are betraying us and not touring. So we needed something. So that was a good initiative to turn that into a National Cup. Get these boys get some experience and get ready for T20 while others are playing cricket at home and IPL, right? So it's definitely going to be beneficial for us.
I feel like this whole tournament is kind of revealing a couple of different things too, in a weird way. So we had this new team selection, and I know we have some controversy around who are the members of the team. These four players that keep on coming up. I think Wasim Khan is one of them. There's a couple of these other players that a lot of people challenged their selection for the T20
Right.
team, but it's looking like some of them are not performing very well right now, and they're not making a good case for their selection. So a lot of people are talking about how this tournament in Pakistan right now, the national T20 tournament going on, is going to lead to some cuts from the team because some of the players are not performing as they should be to impress the selectors and get on the list for the games in the World Cup.
Yeah, it just opens up doors for criticism even more, right? So
Yeah,
all of these people who weren't on board with the current selection and a couple of them don't perform, it's bad news. So even
right,
though it's a
right
good
before the
thing,
World Cup.
right, it's a good thing they're getting to practice, but at the same time people are watching, so there's going to be more criticism and there are other stars that are going to rise from it, right? So I
Yeah,
think Asif Ali is doing pretty well. We have what Sarfaraz. He performed. Babar Azam is good, so that was a good choice to begin with. And Rizwan is doing good. And there were a couple other new guys that man I didn't know about. They've been batting pretty well. So we'll see what
yeah.
happens. I think we have until October or something to change selection, so that the deadline is still around. The window hasn't closed yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a last minute kind of a team, which it's not that great, right? Like for most teams, they have a sense of stability around who's selected, when they're selected, and what the team makeup looks like. But for us, unfortunately, we have a bit of a mix up right now with at least 3 to 4 players that might change. There's a lot of uncertainty around the middle order. There's a lot of uncertainty around the Malik and the Hafiz. Hafiz less so, but Malik did a pretty. He had a pretty good innings in one of the games as well.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, he was the one who was cut from the T20 list.
Yeah, yeah, and he does provide a bit of stability right now, especially in these types of conditions where batting. You have to bat on slower wickets, or you have to bat on wickets with lesser of a bounce or tricky situations. He has the experience to deal with that, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do feel.
he outperforms in any desi type of pitches, whether Pakistan, UAE, or India. So, and he's a pretty strong wall in the middle order,
That's right.
especially when we start losing wickets fast. He's the one around and usually closes the game in these situations. So we'll see
Yeah,
what happens.
Where do you land on that, by the way? This is a thing that wasn't on our agenda today, and we still haven't gotten to our agenda. so, so this
we
just
we
came up.
we can never run out of content, man. It's Pakistan cricket, so
That's right. That's right. So where do you stand on this whole idea of the seniority level versus new blood in the team, right? Because I know, for example, Ramiz Raja has this perception, or I think it's clearly stated his view that he prefers the young blood a lot of the times, and he wants to kind of be done with the old and out with the new, and see what happens with the new, and give the new guys a chance and stay with them for a while other people are saying, well, don't replace people unless you have somebody really solid to replace a person with, like Shoaib Malik or Muhammad Hafiz. If you don't have people to replace those two, then don't replace. But I think Ramiz Raja has leaned in the direction of replacing when he feels like new blood needs to come in and we need to add some excitement and aggression to the game. Where do you land on that?
hey man, look at Tom Brady, right? The guy is almost 40 or over 40, right? He's still playing. I think these players, if they're performing, you at least need a couple of senior players to guide the younger team, and they have the experience. They know how to handle pressure. The only thing I disagree with is these players keep on going, right? And they target 4 years of World Cup, and they're approaching their 40s. So if anybody who's going to replace them, it's got to be themselves. So they have to care for younger blood, and they should recommend coach juniors under them and give them room. That's what I agree with. But if they're performing, I don't think the selection committee should mess with that, especially if there's only two or three left from 10 years ago, right? We have a pretty young team. We definitely need guidance. We saw that when Misbah and Yunus left the test team, and we were number one in test cricket, and they retire, and look what happened. We're like number 6 or 7. Same thing happened to one day cricket. T20, we're hovering 1, 2, 3, which is good, but T20 cricket is usually represented by young people. So I think if you're gonna try the younger talent, it's gotta be from T20, and they like to hit. They're not your test players who are gonna do tuk tuk like Misbah. So if you're gonna test them out, this is the time, man. T20 World Cup.
I hear you. I 100% believe that we need to not make change for the sake of making a change. Sometimes we can lean in that direction as far as our selection is concerned. People get fed up with somebody's statement or somebody's behavior outside of the field, or something happened that kind of puts people on a bad list, and then they don't get a chance, even if they have a good talent. I think Shoaib Akhtar was a good example of that. A lot of times he had this bad kind of reputation, but he lost a lot of years, a lot of good years when he could have been
Right.
on the team, just because people did not know how to manage his personality or lead him the way he could be led by a stronger leader. So I think things like that seem to happen quite often, and I don't think those are the reasons, especially those should not be the reasons why people should be omitted from a team. In this case, I feel Shoaib Malik especially and Hafiz, they also bring in, they're really good. I mean, Malik especially is a really good fielder, man. At one point, he was the best fielder in the
Right.
side, and I would say arguably right now too. I mean, I don't see anybody else better than him in the fielding. So he's
That's a good
quick,
point.
you
Right.
know.
So two seniors we have. They're both all rounders. So Hafiz bowls. Shoaib Malik has started as a bowler, right? And they're both phenomenal fielders, man. So it's
Yeah,
the only issue we've had that is non-fixable for some reason is fielding. I don't know what goes on in Pakistani camps that we're not able to produce good fielders. And when you have those, either make them coaches around your team. We got couple guys, right? We couple new guys who are good fielders. Barber is okay, and then we have couple more. But 80% of our cricket team is really bad at catching and fielding.
what would be your, let's say, top three fielders from Pakistani side of all time for you? Putting you on the spot there for a sec.
No, I can answer that. I would definitely say Malik is one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
If we're including wicket keepers, you got Rashid Latif and Moin Khan. They were one of the best to
Totally.
stand behind the wickets. And let's not forget Afridi, man. Afridi was pretty good. And
That he would be on my list for sure. He was
yeah,
really good. We have had some good fielders. We just haven't been able to hold on to them, or for some reason we haven't been able to transfer those skills into players. Do you think that's a natural ability, or it's a skill built over time?
I think it's all practice, man. I mean, you can turn a bad fielder. They're all techniques, right? So it's not just aim and your eye-hand coordination. It's practice over time. that solves it. I remember when John T. Rhodes held a training camp in Pakistan a few years back, and
Mhm.
it the results showed, man. The next series, I remember everybody was performing very well, and it's just practice of those basic techniques over and over again, and that's all it
Yes.
takes.
It's funny you mentioned that because I feel like I noticed a drastic change in the way our players are starting to dive now. I think people have learned how to dive a little bit better. They're not falling on their knees. They're actually keeping their legs straight, trying to fall on their stomach, elbows, etc., as opposed to, dropping on your knees and friggin' busting your
dropping
knees
your
up.
dropping your bellies and teeth. Now they put their knee down first
Right.
and use that as leverage before they fall. I
Oh
mean,
my
these are
God.
basics, right? Right.
Right.
These things can be taught,
Yeah,
but
but people were hurting themselves trying to dive the wrong way, man. A lot of these players. So I'm glad to see some of those things. I think the newer players
it's
definitely these drills have
it's
helped
definitely
them.
getting better. So,
Uh,
what do you think of Pakistan chances in T20 World Cup, man? We're in midst of two series cancellation,
that's the
uh,
question. That's the question.
betrayal from old allies, and a total overhaul of PCB management, new chairman, new coaches, and cherry on top, our CEO just quit last week.
Yeah, I really, I mean, I think we should definitely talk about the World Cup team once we know a little bit about the team.
Yeah,
Next week probably in our next
yeah, yeah.
episode. But to answer your
We can
question,
talk about Wasim Khan.
yeah, we can talk about the team that's still being built. But just to briefly mention what I think about the World Cup, I think it's such a weird situation that Pakistan is in. It's like Pakistan against the world. It really is
Right.
Pakistan against the whole world. And I think it has a lot of pressure on the guys, but I do see and feel that they're motivated. The games that I watched so far in the national T20, there's this energy in the guys that I'm noticing. There's a lot of passion. There's no like lethargic behavior. People are not just dragging their feet, etc. People are really taking the game seriously. So I feel like they will bring this energy and build on this energy. I just feel they don't tire themselves out of this tournament because they're going right into this World Cup. So I feel like they have a very good chance.
I agree, man. I do think they're more of black sheep or corner tigers, the term we should use from
Yeah, right.
'92. I think it
Happy
applies.
birthday, Imran Khan.
All right. Yeah. What, 69?
I don't know the age, but yeah, probably.
'69 on paper.
That's a hard
Yeah,
thing
no,
to
happy
get
birthday,
accurate.
Imran Khan. Yeah, that's true. But you know what concerns me is that our home away from home UAE, we usually perform well. We know the pitch is there, but problem is there's the entire world playing there already, ripping our pitches
That's right.
apart and getting familiarized with our home turf. So that's going to be a little challenging. So we're going to arrive. I'm not sure when was the last time we played a series in UAE, but all these top players who are involved in IPL, they're going back to their countries. They're coming back to play T20, and they're going to be pretty familiar to the
Yeah.
local
I
conditions.
think
So
the point you're bringing up about the wear and tear of the pitch is a good one. I think it's an important one because what's happened in the IPL games also is that the pitches have deteriorated over time in a way that
yeah,
has effective batting. So if you notice the totals that are happening, that teams are achieving right now, the totals are getting smaller and smaller,
right, right.
which means that something's happened with the pitches that is preventing bigger runs and bigger shots to happen. So it's interesting. I think Pakistan does have a disadvantage there all of a sudden in a weird way, even though this used to be their home ground. Now all of a sudden these pitches are behaving in a different way, or they might be at a different stage of their life by the time Pakistan gets there. So they kind of don't know what they're gonna get. So it's interesting.
And the other thing is, it's pretty hot during the summer, and we're used to these hard pitches in Pakistan, right? They're coming here, pitches are already ripped apart, and it's going to be a little cooler than summer. So the conditions are definitely going to be against Pakistan, and they're playing the national cup as we speak. So that's going to be a sudden change, and we usually don't perform well on soft pitches. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
And Pakistan, nothing's changed, right? Every World Cup we enter,
there's always something.
we're never favorites. Apart from '96, maybe because we had just won the '92 World Cup, and
Yeah.
we had what 11 superstars in the team, and we
Well,
were still not favorites.
I would have said 99 too, man. I mean, That was a
99 was pretty good. Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
crazy team
That was
also.
probably the last time we were considered as favorites, even though we
Yeah,
made it pretty far in 2003. It was
yeah,
Wasim Khan, I remember. When that was over, well, we didn't see any
yeah. Well, speaking of
superstars arriving.
speaking of sudden changes and Wasim, there's another Wasim Khan. He resigned about 10 or so days ago, maybe last 2 weeks ago, right?
A week ago, maybe. Not even too long.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long. So what was your immediate reaction to that?
I think we both agree this is a guy who was well overqualified for this position, right? And this is nothing new to him to bring cricket out of turmoil. He's done it before, and in previous episodes we talked about players slash leaders checking all the boxes,
Yeah,
and he had it all. He's played cricket. He has MBA. The guy was well spoken, intelligent, and he was genuinely concerned about the infrastructure of Pakistan cricket rather than quick miracles. And he didn't make any mistakes when he did. And that's honorable that he took charge, reversed his decisions. And when I say that, I'm talking about when he appointed Misbah as chief selector and the coach at the same time. And he came out, he admitted that was a wrong decision and took it back. And that's admirable, man. And you have two types of leaders, right? One who want immediate change, considering they are in the business to make change and not there, they're not power hungry and not there to make money. And you have the other type of people who are not concerned about their immediate success, but they generally want to strengthen the foundation of an organization and provide a sound infrastructure for future leaders to build upon. And I think Wasim Khan was that guy. So it was really disappointing. And I'm not sure where cricket is going to go from here, especially in Pakistan. But this guy, just like any other politician in Pakistan, man, if you don't see change within a year or so, you're out. And this guy was really putting in laying some hard concrete pathway for our future generation, and really sad that he was. And I'm just concerned about, was he let go or was it his own decision? Because we would have to take some of the praises back we gave to Ramiz Raja, because I know he was pretty tight with Misbah and Wakar Yunus. He really liked those two coaches. So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with Ramiz Raja, because Ramiz Raja is supposed to be, as a chairman, make management decision and not executive ones. So that's overreach on his part. So I'm sure it doesn't continue, and Ramiz had nothing to do with this, but we'll find out.
no, I think a lot of people were big fans of Wasim Khan. I think because he was kind of an outsider in a way. You know, he came from outside of Pakistan, from the UK. He, as you've mentioned, all the qualities that he had, the intelligence and the integrity. I just felt I was very impressed by his honesty. Anytime I heard him speak, all of his interviews, he
Right.
answered questions with
Transparency. Yeah.
yeah, which is not, and I feel that with Ramiz too. Like that's not usually common in a lot of our leadership in Pakistani cricket. There's things that people don't talk about. There's things that people kind of sugarcoat, and then they are leaked through media, through like, weird underground channels, and you learn about all these weird things happening behind the scenes. But with both Ramiz and we're talking about Wasim, so Wasim Khan, I think he always spoke very honestly, and I really felt I could trust him when he spoke. I want to read his statement real quick that he made, and this was 7 days ago, I think, when his resignation was accepted. Here's what Ramiz had to say, and I quote: "During his time with the PCB, Wasim Khan provided excellent leadership, particularly following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, when very little information was available and precise decision-making was required to ensure cricket remained unaffected and continued to be played at the domestic and international levels. The PCB owes Wasim Khan a debt of gratitude for his good leadership, and we wish him well in his future plans and career endeavors." And I do feel that that's one of the things that we really need to remember and thank Wasim Khan for: the way he dealt with the whole pandemic situation, the way he tried to bring cricket back to Pakistan. I thought he was very successful, and I thought he was going to be even more successful if
Yeah,
he continued on the post. We'll talk about the landscape of his resignation in a moment, but I thought he would have been good to continue with.
right, right.
So it's kind of a sad news for me too.
Yeah, yeah, it was a selfless effort on his part. He wasn't concerned about changing cricket overnight. He was not. He was a realist, man. He knew what was going on, and he focused on certain aspects, whether it be. And he started at a really bad time, man.
Yeah,
COVID was happening. He was trying to bring cricket back, and how it's just sad how his reigns really ended with two countries postponing their or canceling their tours,
yeah,
which and he cried, man. I don't know if you've seen the footage of him walking outside all teary-eyed because he was genuinely hurt by New Zealand and England's decision. He wasn't happy with that, and he expanded the digital platform for Pakistan cricket.
yes,
I don't know if you remember back in the day when we used to go through internet to find a Pakistan match, and only time we found them it was when it was against India because they already had the digital platform and a better reach
right.
than Pakistan. And now you see it, man. It's on any channel. It's on YouTube. What better platform than YouTube? So every match that happens in Pakistan or any Pakistani series, you'll find it very easy. PCB broadcasts it
That's
on their
huge.
own channel. That's huge.
That's
And to
huge.
reach the crowd around the globe and the audience, it's great. And he worked a lot towards the women's cricket as well. So he's
Yeah,
done a lot of things that are we don't even know about. So
yeah.
he was definitely focusing on the right things, and I really wish he was around for another at least another year.
Yeah, at least it would have been nice to have him pass the torch in a more appropriate and at a more
Respectable way.
opportune
Yeah.
time, right? It just was not an opportune time for
And
this to happen.
it's ironic you talk about how honest these guys are, Ramiz and Wasim, and it's sad that the only time they have to lie is when liars are involved
Right.
running the show. So he stated his, and you'll talk about it in a bit, his family reasons, right? Away from family, he wants to spend time with his kids and stuff. That would that was probably the only lie he told.
Right.
Because he was forced to do that. And then Ramiz
Yes.
Raja is going to come out. He's going to be asked questions about Wasim Khan, and he's going to have to lie because somebody else made the decision on his part, on his behalf, if he
Yeah.
didn't do it himself. So it's sad, man. And I really hope it's not a clean slate after that because that keeps on happening. Every time somebody leaves, oh, let's start over.
What you were mentioning before about all the things that he's done, all the like unsung actions that he took that
Yeah,
are not out in the spotlight that people might not recognize with the media advancements and the recognition and the brand awareness of PCB and even merchandise, small things like that, just marketing the heck out of it in a way, in a newer way for Pakistan. A lot of the other teams were already there, but Pakistan was not in this kind of marketing, and now they are under him. I think it's sad and also kind of a hallmark of a good leader, that they achieve great things without getting the recognition, and they don't necessarily care for the recognition. Like, he wasn't dying to be on camera all the time. A lot of times leaders in these positions of power want to always be on camera, just be the face, because they have their own egos or whatever. He was not like that. He only came on when he needed to come on. He only came on when people, invited him and had a question to ask of him.
right.
He usually refrained from being on media, which shows that he was actually doing his work instead of worrying
Yeah, yeah.
about
And his
cameras.
the history speaks for itself, man. He was also a CEO of Chance to Shine campaign in England. I don't know if you know about it. That was
Not much.
a campaign dedicated towards competitive state school cricket,
Hmm.
and he was able to raise 50 million pounds. So he's always been on the right side of what needs to be done. So this is not the guy who's teaching you how to draw, right? He's the guy who wants to ensure there are enough canvases and paintbrushes for artists to work with. So he knows what's important. He's not here to make Kamran Akmal Imran Khan. He
Right.
just wants to make sure you have the infrastructure there, you have the training facilities, and that's how you start off. So he's trying to set the baseline. And he knew that he will not get credit. If he were around another 3 4 years, he would have retired, right? Or moved on. And that's what's so respectable about this man, because he wasn't going to take any credit, just like any other politician. He just puts in the work, and the leaders that come after him, that's when you see the change
Yeah.
that he inputted. And they were going to take credit, but he didn't care about that. He just wanted to genuinely fix the industry and the organization, and that's why he was there. And it's really depressing that we're going to be in hands of our politicians again. And
Yeah.
I really hope they add on to what he's already done for PCB and not start with a clean slate again.
I think he's done a pretty good job of setting a good foundation. And I think what would be wiser in Pakistan if we continue some of the work and kind of take on what he's left behind. With that said, the circumstances of the resignation are a bit unclear.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned before that everybody seems to be citing this family thing. That seems to be the new thing that everybody says they're doing. Yunus Khan left his coaching position. He also cited family, but the real issue was something else. Then, everybody who leaves nowadays is saying that they miss their family because of COVID. So that's clearly not the only reason. If any, even if it is partially true, it's not the only reason. What one of the news stories that's come out is that there's this sort of a campaign in PCB around austerity, thinking about
Yeah.
shrinking expenses and stuff. And one of the stories that I heard was that there was a decrease in his salary after, obviously, PCB has lost some money. So with the games gone out the window with New Zealand and England, there's some lost revenue there. Not some, a lot of lost revenue there. And then increasing the pay for first class cricketers, that's lost money there. That's money being allocated somewhere else. And it seems, I don't think there's a lot of evidence for this, but the rumors are that the pay of the CEO was decreased. And this is also one of the reasons that Wasim Khan was not happy with, and he wanted to move on.
Right. Yeah, they always cite his salary, right? Every time they criticize him, he may make so much money. He's not a true Pakistani. He's a foreigner, and we should give our own ex-cricketers opportunities to be CEOs, whatever. I'm not sure if that's true. Even if it is, if he saw his salary decrease drastically, that's just a sign that he was gonna let go, or just a bump, really, a push to recognize that we no longer need you. So some type of indication for him to resign himself.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes in Pakistan, in our psyche, in our just national psyche and identity, we often lead with the heart, which has its benefits. Pakistani people are a great people, very hospitable,
Right.
generous people. But the pitfall is we also lead with a lot of emotion, and this expectation that people should do things for less money for patriotism or for the betterment of their country is kind of a nice thing, but it's also like a la la land kind of a dream, right? And everybody shouldn't be expected to just be able to sacrifice some of their values or their needs because of a greater goal of the nation. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think everybody should have that. Of course, you should do well for your country, but to expect that of somebody to do an extraordinary kind of a job for less because they should do it for patriotism or the love of country, it's kind of, to me, it's a bit unfair. And I also believe that you get what you pay for. If you want a world-class leader, you got to pay a world-class salary to keep them. Simple. If you want a mediocre kind of a job, then go lower. I think if we want the system to become stronger, we do have to spend money in the right places. And I think Ramiz is doing that. I don't know how crazy this salary was, if it was compared to international standards. But I know, for example, our athletes don't even make anywhere near international standards. And that's one of the reasons many people argue, behind a lot of the spot fixing of the past. So,
Yeah.
we have to understand these things and put the money where the money really belongs. It belongs to the players and it belongs to the leaders who are responsible for running the show really well. If they don't run the show, they should leave. They should be asked to leave. But we shouldn't be, I think, looking to decrease their salaries because of it.
Yeah, and these people have families to feed. They're away from home. Their kids they don't get to see. Emotionally, it's very stressful. Not reimbursing them for their efforts or their work. Let them have the job. See what they do without the money. It's a
Right.
nice notion. I mean, it if you're a millionaire, yes, right. If
Sure.
Elon Musk is doing this and he can afford it. But
Sure.
Wasim Khan is no millionaire, man. He's working, and he's putting all his effort and heart in, and he's got to get compensation for it. It's just fair. I mean, it sounds like a nice thing to do, but no one does it. Wasim Akram won't do it. He's a
Right.
millionaire.
Well, that brings us to the next conversation. Who is going to do it? There's a few names out there. I'm unsure. I think Akib Javid was no, Akib Javid was mentioned for a head coach position,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's a few names I've heard. Mudassir Nazar, I believe. There's names all over the place. But for the CEO, I'm not sure what the pool is. Have you heard of anything about that?
I haven't read anything. I've been just depressed ever since he left, and I'm not sure, man. Honestly, I don't know where we're gonna go from here. I think what the ideas that Ramiz has, I really think he should be the CEO and not the chairman because
Hmm.
he gets to make the executive decisions. Take him off, man. He has the right ideas. He's trying to add on to what Wasim Khan has already done. So why is he in chairman capacity? Because his responsibilities right now is management of the organization, right? I think Ramiz Raja is the best choice at this
For
point.
everything.
For I mean,
Give them
CEO
all the jobs.
CEO gives him the power, right? Just take him off the chair, the chairman position and promote him.
Well, I hear you, but is the CEO CEO is under the chairman, right? If you're looking at, my understanding is that
Mhm.
the chairman appoints the CEO.
Yeah, but the chairman doesn't have or demote him, whatever. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chairman doesn't is not supposed to make executive decisions.
Sure, sure. That's why
That's
you
a
have the CEO, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So he can't make, in other words, he can't make a lot of those on the ground changes quickly enough by himself. Ramiz would always have to like solicit
consult with others.
information and consult with others, where the CEO will make all the decisions.
The ultimate decision. Yep.
Exactly. So he has the most power in that sense. He has the most immediate kind of power, and Ramiz has less of that. But Ramiz, he also has the macro view, and so we do need work at the macro level as well. And for that, Ramiz is also uniquely positioned because of his connections all around the world. We
Right.
saw him at the stock exchange, I think today.
Yeah.
He's really going out there and trying to, at the macro level, get this organization up on its feet so it doesn't depend on others, and local investors are directly involved. And that is something that the chairman would do,
Right.
while the CEO is completely immersed in the actual cricket that's happening on the grounds. So I see Ramiz's value being added at where he's at too. I just wish if
Right.
there were two of him.
That's what I'm saying. He has ability. I completely agree with you. We definitely need Ramiz where he is, but then he can also, if we can trust Ramiz, we can trust him to appoint a good chairman under him,
Okay,
or vice versa. Get to choose a new CEO, and it should be his recommendation. If he knows,
sure.
I don't know if Imran Khan is still doing that job, or Pakistani government is, but it should be under his belt, and he should be able to appoint a trustable appointee, hopefully.
I hope so, and good luck to Pakistan, and good luck to Pakistan cricket. And on that note, I think we should end for this episode, and we'll come back in next week and start a conversation about the future of Misbah and Waqar and their stint that they just ended with Pakistan as coaches. So with that said, friends, have a good one. Until next time.